Hello, and welcome to Sutro Sidetalk, episode 169. I'm your host, Kamron Shushtar, and with me is...
James Seelig.
Yo, dude, Niners won.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, they beat the Panthers. It was honestly a pretty big gap, but it was a little scary because Bosa, he's like our best guy on defense, and he almost got he almost got injured. Like he got a little injured, but it was like, oh my god, is he injured? And it was kind of scary. But he's he's leading, I think, like sacks right now. It's pretty crazy. I forget the full stats, but
yeah,
it's
my dad
it's
has just been like focusing on what little is left of baseball this season, which is like the playoffs. Like he mentioned that the Mets got knocked out, and I was like, okay.
The crazy thing though this week,
Yeah, the Giants apparently were terrible this season.
yeah, but the Buffalo Bills, I think it was like either a kickoff or a punt. Either way, they received in the end zone on their side full. Or no, it wasn't that. It was there was a throw. They were all the way at the end zone. There was a good throw and drive all the way to a touchdown. So full, like if you count the pass to just the rushing, it was 100 yards.
Mm-hmm.
Just in one play. It was spectacular. It was really cool to see. Anyway, we don't really talk football here that much. Just a little bit, and also I only watched
We're
like...
starting a new sports show called Sutro Sidelines.
Oh my god, that's actually really good. That's
yeah,
actually
it
really
popped in my
genius.
head, and it was like, it's too good not to waste.
Yeah, that's really good. That's actually really good. Yeah. Holy shit. Damn. Write that down. Yeah. This is Sutra Side Talk. We talk what we've been watching and playing, and then every now and again some news, or not now and again, a lot recently, news of gaming and movies and television and whatnot. But also, actually, here in San Francisco is Fleet Week, and I cracked up because I went on Twitter just to see everyone's footage, and they're like, out here enjoying the show, and you just hear the jets, and there's nothing because it's just
Yeah, it's
fucking
so
clouds.
sad.
You couldn't see shit at all.
It's been so foggy this week. Like,
And
so
this is
yeah,
the first time in 3 years the Blue Angels have been back now because of COVID. They weren't here.
I could have
This
sworn they were flying around before.
I don't think they were. It's been like
Okay.
3 years. Yeah. I think it's been 3 years. I could be wrong, but it feels like it's been forever. I think it's also because they've been all inside, so we haven't really been like going over there to check it out. I'm not too sure, but either way, it was sad and foggy, and it was actually, I feel like it was the darkest and coldest it's been in a while. Honestly,
yeah, it's getting cold, dude. Like it feels like fall, like winter, and it's like not quite there yet.
Yeah, it's weird for October. Well, October there's usually sometimes some rain, but we haven't gotten any still. Like there was one a little bit in September, like literally one. When I say one, I mean like a day, and it wasn't even a full day of rain. But if it's gonna be like this, you might as well just give us rain. If it's just like this without the rain, though, get that shit out of here and give me the sun. So, yeah. This week though, so October is here. We already did one episode. It was on all those fun shows, What We Do in the Shadows and Primal and Love, Death, and Robots. The next 4 episodes are going to be fun because this week and next week we're catching up on a lot of shit. Pretty much the backlog should be cleared out within these next 2 episodes. I'm actually moving the Gundam episode to November, so Miles and I will do that. Plus, it works out because he's getting a new mic because his phone's fucking shot and Miles doesn't have a computer, and it kills me. And that also delays our down to an episode we're actually going to record today that I didn't get to. But
Oh damn.
Yeah. The plan is today we're going to talk Clerks 3 because we got to go see that in a big ass theater in the Castro Theater in San Francisco. Kevin Smith was there, did full Q&A. It was really fun.
That was super fun.
But we can go in on that movie. Honestly, also we could talk a little bit about the just View Askew universe a bit, and also the 5 movies he just said he was gonna do, which I thought was hilarious.
I was like, holy shit, he's got like, I thought he was gonna retire a few years ago, and he's talking about his next 5 movies.
Yeah, and then we got that, some backlog stuff. The news this week is going to be CD Projekt Red's kind of timeline of different titles they got coming up, both Witcher, Cyberpunk, and another new IP, and then also a little bit of talk on the Super Mario trailer. And then next week we're going to talk Cyberpunk Edge Runners. We both watched the show. We're going to talk about that. and whatever we don't get done backlog wise this week will get done next week. But also, I'll have finished the campaign story for Mortal Kombat 11, so I'll talk a little bit of Mortal Kombat
sweet.
and Injustice 2, and then maybe Haunting of Bly Manor.
They just gave away Injustice 2 on PlayStation Plus. I should also play that so we could talk. I could talk about it.
Yeah, it's. I mean, these stories are very
that long.
Yeah, they're very fast. You can get through them pretty quick. I think it took me 2 days to get through.
Not bad.
Yeah, and so it wasn't even like full playthrough either the entire day. It's just like I played for a little bit one night, and then I played like a few hours or so the next day, and yeah, was done. And then the last 2 weeks are gonna pretty much be fully horror oriented. Like I'm gonna try to get some in next week just so we can lighten the load a bit. But it's pretty much gonna be a lot of Mike Flanagan stuff. So Midnight Mass next week will probably be Bly Manor. The new one, Midnight Club, maybe the Terror Season 2, stuff like that. Nosferatu, the Netflix Dracula stuff. And then also the week of Halloween, I think will come out on Halloween, will be the Werewolf by Night episode. We'll headline that one. And then also, hopefully, after Mortal Kombat 11, some games that are more horror-ish, like Outlast 1 and 2, Resident Evil 7, Until Dawn. And if there's time, maybe some other stuff. But, I'm not trying to always say a bunch of stuff and then not actually get it all done. So I'm trying to keep it more realistic now. Like, not everything I just said we'll be able to do, but I'm going to do my best.
But we'll try.
Yeah. Also, I almost forgot. Somewhere in the beginning of November is Extra Life, doing it again. So
nice.
Follow me on Twitch, GoGoComzilla. I'm going to be streaming for 24 hours. And maybe, I'm not too sure yet, I might also stream later on this month when I start some of those horror games. I might just like do a little bit of that just to test it out and just do some streaming just for the hell of it, because I never stream outside of Extra Life, so it could be fun just to try out and be like, hey, watch me play a horror game. And I probably won't get freaked out like people normally would do in their streams, but I'll just be like, that was neat, shit. So yeah.
Fair enough.
Fun stuff.
Got any ideas on what you might play for Second Life? No.
Extra Life?
Extra Life. Oh my god.
Honestly, I haven't had a chance yet. I'm just happy like I did a bunch of digital cleansing. I did 3 big things. I told you, right? Last week I cleaned up my entire phone app, my phone gallery.
Oh yeah, you mentioned you were doing that.
I got through all that, so that was finished. I got through all my emails, which was really nice.
Oh my
God. Then the third thing,
I've been meaning to do that for so long. It's just like, it just keeps getting worse.
It's a small amount where you don't have to really scroll anymore, which is so fucking nice. And then the third thing is one person. You've seen her before on this show, Momo.
Oh yeah.
On TikTok, I had over 200 unread video. Like she sent
me, God.
Since like, this isn't like just this is since March. So I've just been like, oh, I should get through it. So all today, like for honestly, like in between loading screens of playing Cycle, watching football, doing some other shit, I'm just like going through all these fucking videos and I'm like, this is dope, this is dope, this is dope. So now she's gonna check her phone and see all these like, this person's reacted in this way to all these videos.
Kamron liked a bajillion things.
It's the issue is I purposely didn't put notification settings on TikTok, so I don't see notifications. So I'll forget. And the only time I really go on is now when I post all the clips I throw on there for us, which we finally made it to the Demon Slayer area.
Which is on not your main account.
I only have one account. I only have the podcast account.
Oh, yeah. TikTok. I was thinking Instagram. My bad.
Yeah. So that was a full catch up, but I'm glad that's finally fucking done. It's great. Feels good to have that off my chest, and I'm sure Momo will feel good too seeing all those notifications.
Yeah.
Oh man. But all right. First off, we're gonna do the Super Mario Bros. Trailer. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. So we got this trailer. It was a Nintendo Direct that was pretty much like 5 minutes long. At first it was just like Miyamoto like, hey, we got this thing.
Dude, the Chris Pratt segment was so fucking weird.
Chris Pratt's just like, hey, it's me, Chris Pratt.
Well,
they paid me to be here.
I don't know. Like maybe he did play Mario when he was a kid. I don't know. But like he tried to make it seem like, oh yeah, I've been playing this for years. And he was like, I remember stomping on Koopas. It was like he had to like think about it for a second.
It's like hearing The Rock being like, "This is a 10-year project for Black Adam," and I couldn't get the accent or the ears or the hair.
Yeah.
Jack Black though then talked, and Jack Black being Jack Black never disappoints. Got you
Yeah.
hyped up, and you're like, "Thank you, Jack Black." And then you see the trailer, and the trailer we hear multiple voices, some not important, others more important. Like the Penguin
Yeah.
wasn't really
Like,
important. The other
yeah, we
Koopa,
got the Penguin, which it's hilarious that they're even like,
isn't that Phil Lamar?
oh, I don't know who the Penguin
I
was.
think the Penguin is Phil Lamar. I'm
I
actually gonna
just
look it up
like
right now.
I know like they mentioned who's voicing Kamek, but the name isn't familiar to me. But like, yeah, Bowser is Jack Black. And we also got to hear a bit of Toad, who is Keegan Michael Key, and then Mario, who's Chris Pratt.
Comic is Kevin Michael Richardson and Kevin. Oh yeah, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where like I'm pretty sure he's like a well-known voice
Oh,
actor that
he's
like,
Captain Gantu in Lilo and Stitch
yeah,
and Goro in Mortal Kombat.
that's what I was gonna say. It was like he's definitely
Oh,
done
he's the
things that,
Mauler twins in Invincible. Also, the two dudes that keep cloning themselves.
oh shit, interesting. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. It was like he's done stuff that you would recognize. I've just never heard his name before, which is unfortunate. But yeah, and like the Kamek voice I thought was really great. Like it's super funny to me that literally all the voices in the trailer, like I was actually really surprised at how much I enjoyed that trailer. I was expecting a Super Mario movie trailer. Like I was not expecting much out of the Super Mario movie, especially after they announced the casting and it was all just like super star-studded cast. And I was like, oh, they're just trying to hope that people go to see like the actors and not because it's a good movie. But dude, like it's actually fucking funny. Like from the penguins like bombarding Bowser with snowballs, and he's just like, "This is nothing," and I'm gonna
yeah. They're
literally,
like, "Do you yield?" or like,
yeah. And he's just like, "I do not," and he blows down their entire castle. I was just like, "Damn, Bowser's actually a threat in this."
yeah. Also, it was Kari Payton. Sorry, not Phil Lamar, who voiced the Penguin King. Kari Payton.
Mm.
I didn't watch up to it, but he is Ezekiel in um Walking Dead. The guy, the king with the tiger.
Oh yeah, I don't know if I got that far. I don't think
It's
so.
not. It's I stopped watching. It's not important. But
Yeah.
also he is Cyborg in Teen Titans Go. I don't. Wait, is he also?
Oh.
Is he Cyborg in? Yeah. So he's basically he's Cyborg, I guess.
Mm. But yeah, so like it's just weird to me that all the voice actors feel like they're doing such an amazing job, except for Chris Pratt. And
Yeah.
it's just like when they finally got to Mario, I was just like, oh my god, is he gonna do an accent? And it's like a little bit. Like there's one line where you can kind of hear he's sort of doing like a Brooklyn-ish New York Italian accent,
To the
sort of.
mushroom. Let's go to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Also, someone pointed out that like he says like, Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
That's what it was. Yeah.
And what he should have said was,
Mushroom Kingdom, here we come.
what he should have said is Mushroom Kingdom, here we go. Because that's what Mario says. And I'm just like, oh my fucking god, are you serious? Also, I don't know if you've seen this, but like people have been comparing the voices of Mario from like the different regions. And dude, the French one straight up just sounds like
Dude,
Mario.
the
It
fucking
is
French one, it was
insane.
insanely good. So fucking good. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, this just sounds like an attack. I can't. All right, would you say the Mario that we're hearing Pratt attempt to do is this just Chris Pratt attempting a Boston, Jersey, or New York accent? Would you
Yeah, that's
say?
about it. Like
Yeah.
literally as soon as he started speaking, I was like, oh, it's just Chris Pratt.
Is it
I
just?
don't
What do you think it is though? Do you think it's like a Brooklyn, like a?
I think it's supposed to be Brooklyn, New York, because like that is I think canonically Mario is supposed to be like a New York Italian plumber, but it's just like not
Mario
important.
Mario and his brother Luigi Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So I guess long story short, I'm way more impressed than I thought I would be.
yeah, I would say
And
so.
I kind of didn't expect Chris Pratt to do like a phenomenally great voice because he's like all his voice acting roles he's done is basically just his own voice. So I
In
wasn't
his
expecting too much.
defense, I will say, like, I was telling some other people, it's like, he's been in the Lego movies, Emmett,
Mhm.
and also technically Rex Dangervest, who is also
Yeah.
just more depressed Emmett. Those are fully excusable. Those worked perfectly for the sheer reason that those were original characters that would fit Chris Pratt. Whereas Mario is a more well-established character with a very, very well-established voice. And even though it doesn't have an insane amount of dialogue, but his voice is still like, legendary. And having Chris Pratt do all that shit, yeah, it feels very just like, bro, this dude's gonna be Garfield too? Like, fuck.
Oh my god, you're fucking right.
Like,
I forgot
god
about that.
damn it. Another creature that eats Italian food is going to be Chris Pratt.
Oh my god, you're right.
Yeah. I don't even, it's just gonna be Chris Pratt. Like, I'm a big orange cat. I'm Chris Pratt. Like, I'm also trying to be from Brooklyn or some bullshit.
Walking here.
I'm walking here. Dude, I went to remember when I was in New York. I was like, what a fucking place. Just, goddamn. Yeah, so Chris Pratt, we all knew it was gonna be disappointing, and I'm glad he lifts up to disappointment, if anything. I guess it could be worse. It could not be Boston or fucking Brooklyn Chris Pratt. It could be just Chris Pratt. Like,
yeah,
I'm Star-Lord.
At least he's trying like a little
bit. Yeah. Luigi, we only hear like a scream from him via Charlie Day.
And honestly, it works for me.
I'm still apprehensive just because I don't want to I want Luigi to still be Luigi. He's also like, I don't want to be like, yeah, Mario's the only one that's actually Italian. Luigi was never Italian. Like, they're both fucking Italian. So if Charlie Day is just Charlie Day, then that'll actually still be disappointing. The only difference is Chris Pratt doesn't have a charismatic voice that you're like, oh my god, like I can listen to him doing anything. Whereas, Charlie Day, he's Charlie. Like, you kind of give that a little bit of a pass because you then expectingly think Always Sunny in Philadelphia or something, which is funny. Actually, I just cut our Always Sunny, the Ireland season. I just cut clips of that from TikTok like earlier this week, so it's still in my fucking head with all the COVID shit. Anyway, so it's a little bit more excusable. Just like, I mean, Seth Rogen is probably just going to sound like Seth Rogen for Donkey Kong.
That's one of the few
but that one's more excusable because Donkey Kong and Seth Rogen actually feel like they match together.
That was one of the few things I was disappointed we didn't see in the trailer. Was like, I was really hoping to see like a glimpse of Seth Rogen Donkey Kong, but
and we'll see how Anya Taylor-Joy's Peach is. We haven't seen that yet.
Oh yeah,
but the two that we heard, Keegan-Michael Key is Toad, which is great.
Dude, like I had to like listen to that clip multiple times, and it's just like I can maybe kind of hear Keegan-Michael Key, but like
he did a crazy voice and then they pitch shifted it. That's all I can say.
I don't know how much they had to pitch shift it, but like it just like it actually is a pretty good Toad voice.
Yeah, and you can tell he can easily do high pitch, no problem. And then of course Jack Black is Bowser. I wasn't sure if it was just gonna be Jack Black, and then we heard it and it was not Jack Black. Like it barely sounded. You could hear the roots of Jack Black, but otherwise he fucking did it. Bowser is already guaranteed to be the best part of this movie. And I'm so fucking happy that it's gonna be like Jack Black playing a threatening Bowser. That is so fucking awesome. That I never thought they would be able to do that. So that is what made me go, okay, I think I'm good for this movie. At least with Jack Black, even if the protagonist sucks ass, I'm good with this.
Yeah, so it's super interesting that they're going with like Bowser is an actual threat and not just a joke.
And also this comes hand in hand with like, I think later on in 2023, we're getting the Universal Studios Hollywood version of the Super Nintendo Land. And Nintendo is starting to expand. They're like, we're doing theme parks and movie now. And, eventually they're going to do, I think, a Donkey Kong area in the Japanese Universal Studios. I don't know.
I think that does sound familiar. I think
they're doing Donkey Kong Country, and I'm sure after that would be like Zelda or something. But they're doing that.
And they got to have like cart rides in that.
But also you can expect like, okay, we're getting a Super Mario Bros. Movie. You can expect a sequel, and you can expect potentially a Donkey Kong movie after that. You could kind of see them doing it all hand in hand. That's what I'm saying. They're like, you're getting Mario and then Donkey Kong after, probably for both. And then they'll go like, okay, we've been trying this out. We've been experimenting. It's working. Throw in Zelda now. Like, let's do that. And it's going to be cool seeing them grow in these areas. Though Hopefully they don't kill more musical YouTube accounts because that'll.
Yeah. See, I was just telling Chris earlier today that like Nintendo doesn't sell their music for their games separately. So people literally just like, well, fine, if you won't sell it and you won't like let us stream it anywhere, we'll just pirate it and put it on YouTube so people can enjoy it. And yeah, they just keep striking down those channels. And so it's just like
It's
there's literally no way for people to just enjoy Nintendo music except for like listening to it on your Switch through like the Smash Bros. Like Ultimate thing, because there's just like a bajillion tracks on that.
what's gonna happen is their movie and theme parks are gonna pick up, and then the weakest link is gonna be their fucking video game area. It's gonna be like, yeah, everything's
That'd be
great.
so
The
weird.
gaming fucking sucks. I mean, the games themselves are great, but everything else just fucking sucks around them pretty much. I feel like it's like if someone goes like, I'm working with Nintendo, and you just go, there's only one Lord of the Rings, and he does not share power with you. But yeah, that's the Super Mario trailer. And then next up is CD Projekt Red news, and they announced more or less like 5 games or some shit.
Yeah, like a lot. Like I was honestly like I heard about it afterward and I was just like, wait, how many Witcher games?
Yeah.
What?
So I got here, I have their little Instagram slide. First off is Cyberpunk 2077 Orion. So Orion is a code name for our next Cyberpunk game, which will take the Cyberpunk franchise further and continue harnessing the potential of this dark future universe.
Which is cool. Like I
Yeah,
played a bit of Cyberpunk 2077 and I've enjoyed what I've done so far. I don't know about like the main story because it hasn't really gone too crazy yet, but I just finished Edge Runners and that actually does make me want to play more of it. So
nice.
so I can see like how as much as I'm enjoying 2077 currently, there's definitely a lot of room for improvement. So I'm glad they're not like just abandoning the series. They're gonna keep working on it.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting just knowing it's there. Like we know Orion exists. When are we gonna see Orion? Not for a very
When it's ready, hopefully.
long time. Because the thing is, guys, you have to remember too, they're not focusing on this. They're focusing on the next Witcher game. And this is gonna come out after that. It's like think of we are showing you Starfield, and we're also showing you we announced Starfield, we also announced Elder Scrolls 6. Good news, everyone. Elder Scrolls 6. We'll see it in 10
Yeah, that
years.
was so weird. Like
Fuck,
freaking
it's
Todd
basically
Howard.
like that, but the difference here is they're not doing a fucking trailer and they're just going, hey, this is just everything going on. We just want to let you guys know this is
And I think
everything.
technically it wasn't this an investor call. It wasn't even like
Well, they posted it everywhere. Like this is on their Instagram,
oh,
this is on their Twitter. They showed
okay.
everything. So they're just giving little snippets, just saying, hey, these are all the things happening. Which honestly,
Right.
it's the same thing as the Assassin's Creed thing. And I just think the only ones that did it bad were Bethesda, honestly. At least Assassin's Creed made sense with all that shit. You're like, oh my god, I still am always tense with Ubisoft on anything at this point, but at least they told us everything within the next basically 4 years,
Yeah.
3 and whatnot. But the next thing was The Witcher Polaris, which actually I'll say really fast. I'll probably try to start on Cyberpunk before the year is over. I just want to for sure play Outer Worlds and Death Stranding before that, or probably the 2 big games I want to play before that. And also, you know what? Actually, those 2, and then do Iki Island for Ghost of Tsushima.
Yeah, I
and
keep
then
wanting to set up
maybe do New
time for
Game
that.
Plus for Ghost of Tsushima because I really want to just go through it all again anyway. The other thing, Witcher Polaris, is a codename for the next installment in the Witcher series of games, which we recently announced was in pre-production. It is beginning of a new page. We aim to release 2 more Witcher games after Polaris, creating a new AAA RPG trilogy. So we know this the second set of Witcher games will be a trilogy, and Polaris is the next one that is probably the next CD Projekt Red game we're going to get. They say it's in pre-production. So, you know, batten down the hatches, guys. Enjoy Cyberpunk 2077 and look forward right now to the DLCs and expansions that are going to come out for this game because you're not getting Witcher for quite some time either. I'm going to say the soonest we're going to get this is probably 2025, maybe. Because if it's in pre-production, come on, like 3 years.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're not getting another CD game for like at least 3 years.
So correct me if I'm wrong, was that 4 Witcher games total? Like one game plus a trilogy, or was it like the
So
Polaris is part of the trilogy?
Polaris is the first in a trilogy.
Okay,
So
so
they're starting a new
3 new
trilogy.
ones.
Polaris is the first of them. But they also announced more Witcher stuff, which is not related to this trilogy. And
Hmm.
potentially not as related to them, which is interesting. So, well, it's related to them, but that's not them
Do you
doing
think
it.
if they're gonna do a new trilogy, they would maybe like I feel like they could either focus on Ciri as a main character, or I was like thinking about it while listening to another podcast the other day. They could do one like a at least a game on Vesemir. I think that'd be
Mm,
cool.
yeah, I mean that'd be interesting, but because you know what the new trilogy is about, though, right? I mean, like what they
Oh,
said,
they already said.
it's a new school.
Oh,
So it's
that's
a
actually also
new. It's
interesting.
not the wolf. You're going to be a different.
The bear or the cat.
I think it might be different than them. So it's either going to be a brand new animal, or one that exists that's not the
Yo,
wolf.
if there's School of the Dragon, sign me up.
Because we got cat, wolf, bear, and snake. I
Right.
think, or it's like viper. I forget what the specific for the snake is, and
For
then
whatever reason, the only two I remember are like bear and cat.
I think those are all of them though. But oh wait, no, wasn't there also griffin?
That sounds familiar. Yes.
Maybe I can't
I
remember.
just remember they were all like you got Witcher like suits of armor based off of all of those. And they all
Yes,
had like different stats that like kind of hinted at what those different schools were focused on,
and I think the snake school is in
like poisons and
two.
shit.
I think they're
Oh.
one of the antagonists in two. I think they're the ones that frame you for the assassination of kings and shit.
Yo, now that I got a like gaming PC, I could actually play that game.
I plan on buying it a second time. I got it on PS4, but I do want to get the PC
Wait,
version.
Witcher 2 came out on PS4?
No, I meant three. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, then next up was The Witcher Canis Majoris. Is a full-fledged Witcher game separate to the new Witcher saga, starting with Polaris. It will be developed by an external studio headed by experienced developers who have worked on past Witcher games.
Interesting.
Yes.
Mm.
Very curious who
Who
they
else would
were.
have worked on them?
That's I don't know. I don't know if it means it's a studio that's worked on it before or people that worked on it before and are in a new studio.
Mm,
That's what I'm curious
that makes
about.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because an external studio headed by experienced developers who have worked on past Witcher games. So
Yeah.
specific people, not the studio.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's interesting. Uh, and then, we don't know anything about that, but it's going to be something else completely different. I'm wondering though if it's like Assassin's Creed where they're like Hex is going to be like a different game,
Yeah.
and it sounds like different gameplay maybe. And I'm like,
So I
well,
think this is why I was like, I thought there were 4 Witcher games because there was like the trilogy plus this one.
well, it's not over yet. The Witcher Sirius is codename for a game developed by Molasses Flood, a CD Projekt Red studio, previously
Mm.
Drake Hollow. Interesting. And set in the Witcher universe and created with support from CD Projekt Red, it will differ from our past productions, offering the multiplayer gameplay on top of a single player experience, including a campaign with quests and a story.
Sounds
So,
like a regular Witcher game though.
well, looking at the game they've done before, it's pretty much very much like in Unity type game where, it looks a little bit like grounded art style and stuff. Like,
Oh. Hmm.
yeah, I think Drake Hollow is the game they made. But yeah, I don't think it seems like it's gonna be a completely different type of Witcher game that might be more. I don't want to. I definitely don't want to say for all ages because I don't think the Witcher will ever be for all ages. But
No, you're
it
like decapitating like monsters left and right.
from looking at Drake Hollow, like it's either they're gonna do something similar, which means it would be a lot more casual, or they're just going to be doing something completely different than this game that's not even remotely similar. And it could be like a more intense competitive multiplayer with story and other stuff, but I have no idea. It's hard to say.
Mm.
Uh, and then finally, last one here. CD Projekt Red, Hadar. Hadar is codename for a third entirely distinct IP created from scratch within CD Projekt Red. The project
Oh.
is in its earliest stages of the creative process, which means we are not developing any game yet, but working exclusively on the foundation for this new setting. So, Witcher from an author of Polish books. Cyberpunk from a guy who created like a tabletop kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
This in-house, completely original, full creativity.
Interesting.
Yeah. And one thing to note is all the code names are all stars. We got Orion,
That's true. Yeah.
Polaris, Canis Majoris, Sirius, Hadar. Thought it was very interesting. But, the way I see it is it's going to be a very, very... If you're enjoying, like I said, you're enjoying Cyberpunk, you're going to enjoy it more. You're going to get more expansion stuff, DLC and whatnot. It's going to be a fun time. But then once the time comes, you're pretty much going to get a triple charge of Witcher games. And I'm sure the Witcher show will have its third or fourth season around that, or probably fourth or fifth season around that.
All right, yeah.
Actually. And who knows what other Witcher stuff will be happening. So it's going to be a very, very, what would you say, like a renaissance of Witcher, a golden age of Witcher, pretty much? Potentially, if these are all good.
Because I don't know about renaissance, because it's not exactly like a resurgence of anything. It's just
that is true. You're right. So it would be a golden age. I forgot what Renaissance even meant. Shit. Yeah, it's not like the Disney Renaissance. That actually had meaning. But yeah, it could be like a Witcher golden age, which will be really fun. But it also shows kind of the expansion of this franchise. Kind of like it's growing. Just like, they wanted this, Netflix wanted this to grow too, because Game of Thrones and from like Warner Brothers and stuff, and now like Lord of the Rings has always been distinct and whatnot, but there's also the second Witcher show coming, Blood Origin and everything else, so it's very, very big Witcher times. So, and also this new IP, I guess, we're thinking if Witcher is fantasy, Cyberpunk is cyberpunk, what would this new thing be? Would it be sci-fi? Would it be realistic, or like modern day? Would it be historical? Would it be horror? What would it be?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It could be anything.
Well, I mean, it's probably going to be open world, big thing like these two other games franchises, but I'm just like, what kind of world would we see?
I don't know why, but like the first thing that comes to my mind is like distinctly different from those two genres, because like, and it's not entirely separate from cyberpunk because science fiction, but they could do a space thing.
They could do a space thing, just like, but Bethesda's doing space thing now. So everyone's doing space thing. I don't know.
Yeah, that doesn't mean they can't like do their own thing.
That's true. But all right, enough in the news. You ready for Clerks 3?
Sure.
All right. So I guess starting off, like, I feel like we've had a very interesting kind of going through with Kevin Smith, where, it started off watching all his movies. For me personally, I loved all of his View Askew stuff. So Clerks 1 and 2, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, Dogma, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
The only one I'm not entirely sure if I've watched is Chasing Amy. I could have sworn I watched all his movies, but for whatever reason, I don't have much of, I don't recall Chasing Amy that well.
Out of all of those, I would say it's probably the weakest.
That's what most people say.
But it's still enjoyable. I enjoyed it more than Jersey Girl. But yeah, I loved all those movies, and I was very heavy into Kevin Smith. And, I got really into his podcast back when I was really into a bunch of like, I was very, very, I guess, franchised with podcasts, where I was like, I'm only listening to IGN because it's got Greg Miller back then and all this other shit. And also like maybe One Up, because they're also kind of part of IGN now. And then like all the Kevin Smith ones like Smodcast and Jalen and Silent Bob Get Old and Hollywood Babylon and stuff. Like those were the prime things I was listening to. And then over time, I just started like not listening to them, because also like his other movies started coming out, and it was like, hey, here's Red State. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. Here's fucking, what else did he do? Tusk. And I was like,
yeah,
that's okay. I'm okay over here. I'm not going to watch this. And it's like, here's Yoga Hosers. And I'm like, that's a hard pass. I'm not touching that with
That's
it.
the other one that I definitely haven't watched Yoga Hosers.
Yeah,
Like I mean to at some point, but it's just like not high on my priorities list.
yeah. I'm like, I don't need to. I'm okay for now. Maybe eventually, but for now, I don't need it.
I am
And
psyched for Moose Jaws though.
yeah, and so he went from like very big for me to kind of completely off my radar, especially like when he started directing Flash and Supergirl, because those no offense to him, but like around the time he did was when those shows weren't really good. Well, Supergirl's never good to me personally. I know I'll
I
forget shit
enjoyed
for
the
saying
first
it.
few seasons, but I
It's just
didn't get too far.
I get it's Gossip Girls with like superpowers, and I was like, oh, all right. Or was it Gilmore Girls? Gilmore Girls with superpowers. That's the one. But I was just like, I don't need this. Uh,
I don't know. I just think that Melissa Benoist is great.
yeah, of course. But
So I love she showed up in Clerks too. She was like one of the people that auditioned.
yeah.
And it took me so long to recognize like where I was like, she looks so familiar. Why do I know? It's like she's Supergirl.
Well, she's also in Jane and Silent Bob's what was it called? The Jane and Silent Bob's reboot movie?
Yeah, I missed that one too.
You didn't see that one?
I guess not. No.
Oh yeah, they should, because it's the whole thing of like Bluntman and Chronic because they're based off of them. That's why they go back to like Hollywood or whatever.
Yeah.
And
No,
Bluntman
it's
and
just
Chronic is played by Val Kilmer and Melissa Benoist. Melissa Benoist is Chronic.
eh.
He basically plays Jay's character.
No, I do love like back when I was listening to I guess Hollywood Babylon where he would talk about this stuff. Like he had so much fun going to like Vancouver to film like Flash and Supergirl stuff. I mean, he's a massive DC fan, so he was
Yeah.
like, "This is great.
And then he
I don't
started, I
have to
think,
do anything. You
he
guys
started
do."
talking shit during the WB Discovery stuff,
Yeah.
apparently.
I love how he's also basically just like, yeah, like I don't get to write the script for those because it's got to go on for like a whole season, and like everyone basically does this thing like from week to week anyway. So I basically just say roll and cut.
So fucking
Uh,
funny. So Clerks 3, though, I guess like coming in, it felt very strange because it's been a while since, like, besides the reboot movie, it felt like it's really been a while since we've seen any of these characters besides Jan and Silent Bob. Like they're the only two we've gotten, and otherwise, like we were in high school when Clerks 2 came out. That's the
yeah,
last time
I
we saw Dante
forgot
and
how long
Randall.
it had been since Clerks 2 came out, and I was just like, they mentioned it at some point during the night, and I was just like, holy shit, it's been that long.
Yeah, because
What?
first you watch Clerks 2 and you go, wow, it's been such a fucking gap of time since Clerks 1. And then you watch Clerks 3 and you go, bro, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah,
How old am I?
I think one of the things that blew my mind was when like early on in the movie when they're just doing like the opening, not exactly montage, but
Yeah.
kind of where like
They open the store, or
yeah,
like
they
they
open
did a
the
coffee
store.
on the roof and shit.
Well, that and they show the like memorial thing to I forget her Rosario Dawson's character. Um like on the register and it said like
Becky.
yeah, Becky, and it's like it said like she died like 2006 and I was like, "Wait, what?" Like,
Yeah, that's the year the movie
holy
came
shit.
out. Yeah. Pretty much she dies less than 9 months after
Yeah.
uh
God, that
the
was such a
movie
like
takes
gut
place.
punch.
Yeah, that was fucked up. That was like, oh, you didn't know? It wasn't Happily Ever After that movie. It was
Yeah,
pretty much
and
like Depression Ever After,
so
like right after.
I thought it was just gonna be like, oh, they just couldn't get Rosario Dawson back. And like, no, she showed up throughout the movie, but as like
A
either
ghost.
hallucinations or ghosts of Dante, and it was just like this movie had such a wide range of emotions where
Yeah.
it's just like it was super funny and making me laugh, and then like literally just like holy fuck, this is like tearing my heart out.
Yeah, it was sad and depressing, for sure. I think the other two Clerks movies were more funny because they were all only funny. And then
Yeah,
this one was like each movie has its own thought process, like including Mallrats, including Chasing Amy. They all have like a thought process of, you know what this is about though. And yeah, you're laughing about it, but you remember that main thing that's like a weird melancholy or like just life thought of like, hey, remember though about your own life and doing this thing and moving forward and all this shit. And they do it in Clerks because he's like, I feel like I'm doing the same thing every day, blah, 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 blah. And then Clerks 2 is like moving forward, figuring out what you want to do with your life because you're choosing these two women for Dante. And then you get the Clerks 3 and you're like, oh, oh shit, okay. This is a little bit more difficult, but okay. Just because she's dead and Dante almost dies. Or not Dante, Randall almost dies
Yeah.
and whatnot. So
I did love the meta aspect of it, that like Randall basically started making Kevin's first movie, which was Clerks. Like it was a very meta choice, and I thought it was super cool.
sorry, I had to cough for a second there.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, so it was, and I like that they at least bring back everyone. Whether it's because, okay, here's your core four. You have Dante and Randall who run the quick stop, and then you have Jane, Silent Bob who fuck around outside of the quick stop. And then like the second movie, bring in Becky and Elias. And those are your other two characters that you're kind of
Dude,
like,
Elias had like the funniest running joke the other movie.
so fucking good. And Becky, we talked about already. She's a ghost in it. She's dead, which, sorry if you get, I feel like it's already out of theaters. So if you didn't see it, you didn't see it. It was only in theaters briefly. It was in theaters before we got to see it. Because it was doing like a Fathom Events thing. And we waited extra time because we were going to go see the live Q&A with Kevin Smith instead. But we could have seen it a lot earlier. Yeah. But you have Elias come back in. You have those basically now 6 characters. Well, 5 and a ghost. So it's still all pretty much male practically because the only one
but they also added one.
Blockchain. Yeah, fucking Blockchain. It was basically Kevin Smith's daughter's boyfriend. So I'm pretty sure that's how that works.
I love how they make the joke of like, whoa, he's got his own little Silent Bob. And like throughout the whole movie, he doesn't say anything until like he does, just like Silent Bob. He has one thing he says at the end of the movie. And he's just
and like, it just,
holy fuck, we're rich. The kites are flying.
We got fucking money. Like it was pretty much, it took money to get him to talk.
Yeah.
Which, I feel like money makes anyone talk at the same time. And this movie, we said it briefly already, but it does something different. It brings in like sadness and depression within it because you've grown up with these characters and, looking at it. Clerks came out in 1994. Clerks 2 came out 12 years later in 2006. Clerks 3 comes out now, 2022. So that is 16 years, right? Is that 16 years after Clerks 2 and 18 years. Wait, no, 28 years. 28 years?
When did the first one come out again?
94. Is
Is
that how that works? I think so. All right, if Clerks 1 and 2 is 12 and then 16, yeah, it's 28. Haha, I'm stupid. It's like, wait, why don't you just add up what you just said between all those movies? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, so Clerks 1 to 3 is 28 years. So he took 12 years and then 16 years in between these films. And that's insane because it felt like forever seeing between Clerks 1 and 2 because it was like black and white to color. And even though that doesn't make a difference, but it was like how
it's also funny
ago.
that like Kevin has been very clear that he didn't shoot it black and white because he wanted it to look like a period
all he could
thing.
afford.
It was literally like cheaper, and the lighting for the store he worked at was like ghastly. And I love that also they had a meta moment in Clerks 3 where Silent Bob is the director of photography, and he's just like, I'm gonna shoot the whole thing in black and white because this lighting is ghastly.
Well, I guess first off, we can talk about the Clerks 3 to 1 thing in a sec, but was there anything that really, what were the highlights of this movie to you?
I mean, I already kind of mentioned it, but just like I love the whole meta aspects that I guess we're going to get into of just like Randall basically making the exact movie of like the first one. And like as heartbreaking as it was, but like when Dante finally breaks down at the end and like screams at Randall that like, do you keep saying this is your life, but I've been here the whole fucking time. This is my life too, and you keep treating me like I'm just like a side character. that like doesn't matter to you. And like it was real shit. And it's just like
He
it's hard to see, but it was like so well acted.
yeah.
Like, and then just like the heartbreaking moment, like again, spoilers, the heartbreaking moment at the end when Randall like basically breaks into Dante's like
Hospital room.
hospital room because like Dante also has a heart attack at the end, and it's like Randall initially is just like, oh, he'll be fine. I had a heart attack earlier. It was
It's
okay,
like
and I
that's
was
not how
totally
that
fine.
works.
Yeah, and like Dante is just straight up like hospitalized, and Randall finally realizes like, oh fuck, I'm being a stupid idiot. I need to be here for my friend. And he, I don't know why he does this, but he goes home and he spends all night editing his movie to try to show it to his friend. And he gets that to show it to him. And like Dante in his head is like in a movie theater watching his friend's movie. And just the moment where Becky is like, because she's been sitting there with him, she's like, don't you want to stick around to see the end? And he's like, no, I trust the director. He was my best friend. And he walks away, and then like you hear he like flatlines. And I'm just like, holy shit, they're actually killing Dante. And just like the last line that Randall has, like to quote my best friend, you're not even supposed to be here today. And he's like in the casket, and it's just like, holy shit. That like I've been laughing about that line for years whenever I'm just like at work and just like, oh, I'm not even supposed to be here today, or whatever. And it's just like now it'll have that second meaning of just like, fuck, you're ripping my heart out. So it's
It's
just
gonna be
like,
like you're gonna say that all the time in the future, still laugh, and then in the back of your mind, it's
yeah,
gonna be one. It is gonna be you sitting in the dark smoking a cigarette, just like fucking shit.
yeah,
It was a tough thing, and like seeing Dante, especially Dante, just seeing Dante, knowing that Clerks won, shit, he kind of figured shit out at the end, and you're like, oh cool, did it get fixed? And you see Clerks 2, and it's like he's got two marriages. He's getting married to someone completely different than the person he was actually seeing in the first one, and
yeah.
she
He was
knocked up
basically
someone
trying to
else
make like,
completely different.
he was basically trying to make like the smart decision and marry like someone financially stable, but just like not a great person.
Yeah,
And like it was cool that at the end of Clerks 2, he like kind of undoes all that, gets with the person that he actually cares for, and then like buys the store that he used to work at with like Randall. And he's just like, well, I'm back to where I started, but at least now I'm my own boss.
and
So you
I
thought that he was going to be at least happy.
with a wife
And
and kid too, and then that
oh,
doesn't happen. Long story short, obviously they both passed away before the baby's even born, and it just leaves him for 16 years completely depressed and just destroyed. And he's like, I've been dead. I died. Like, he basically says he died back in 2006. Like, he's just
yeah.
been a walking corpse this whole time. And Randall just never really fully noticed, I guess, because he was always wrapped up in himself. And it was very interesting. And Dante really is the only one to truly talk about, because he's the main character in all of this. Randall is more of like he's always there, but he's always there with like the comedy and the
Yeah.
one-liners and
Like
just being funny.
Kevin, he mentioned at some point during the Q&A something that I thought was an interesting point, that Randall, there's like, I forget, I think it was in Clerks 2, he said there's a scene where Randall's just like alone in the movie shop for like by himself or whatever or something, and he's just like just staring at a screen blankly, like he's like not even on really, because Randall was never really like a main character. He was always the guy who
It was at the end.
commented
He
on
was
other
at the
people.
register when they all figured out about the money, and they're
Yeah.
all like freaking. It's basically Jay, Silent Bob, Blockchain, and Elias ran over away, and he was just alone for a second there.
Yeah. And he's just like, yeah, Randall, he's always the one commenting on what other people are saying. He's never the one with the original ideas.
Yeah.
And I thought that was interesting.
And all his jokes are always great and everything else. And in this one, he still has great one-liners and stuff, and just like fucking hilarious shit that he says. But yeah, otherwise, when you really look at it, yeah, he's just been the foil, and it's so interesting it takes 3 movies to realize that, I feel like, because other than that, you're just like, yeah, it's these 2 guys. You always go, it's these 2 guys, and then by the end of this, you're like, it's Dante, and now it's Randall telling Dante's story, even though they have the same story, but it's always been about Dante.
Yeah.
And Elias, I guess before we get to like the full like wraparound of the trilogy, kind of Ouroborosing itself, kind of, Elias was fucking hilarious. Which I'll say first off
Yeah.
too. We at our Q&A got something special. We actually got to see
That was really cool. He was actually there.
yeah, he was actually, I love it. It says top build cast for Clerks 3 was Sarah Michelle Gellar, Ethan Suplee, Ben Affleck, Justin Law.
Oh my god. And they were all in like the one scene.
I wonder if it's top build for that movie or just biggest like money makers. So
I don't know.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
Kate McCucci was movie.
I
That was
just
fucking
love that
hilarious.
in Clerks 2, one of Elias's like main, like his 2 character traits were
Trevor
that, yeah,
Femrin.
Trevor.
Trevor
He
Furman. That's what his
I
name is.
so I love in Clerks 2, his 2 character features are like he loves Transformers and he is super Christian.
Yes.
And in
He also likes
Clerks,
Lord of the Rings.
oh yeah, Lord of the Rings. And in Clerks 3, he like when Randall is having his heart attack, he's like freaking out in the hospital because he literally joked earlier. He's just like, God smite down this non-believer. And that's exactly when Randall has his heart attack. And he's just like, oh my God, I did this. Jesus, please save my friend. And then, like nothing happens. And he's just like, Jesus has forsaken me. I must pray to the devil. And for the whole rest of the movie, he's a Satanist.
Because the fucking Randall didn't die. So he's like, oh,
Yeah.
cool, Satan listened to me. And it's funny because apparently this is Trevor, but he kept coming back every new scene, like every new day, as a new fucking outfit.
Yeah, he had like a slightly more outrageous, like goth slash Satanist, I guess, outfit.
And the best one was still I forget what her name was from Blade Runner though. The girl with like the
The
fucking
prostitute one or
no, that
whatever.
wasn't the prostitute. But she basically had the black eyeliner and
Oh,
then
that was that one.
the hair. I forget what her name
Yeah.
was. I'm gonna look it up right now actually. But it was funny because he looked just like her, and I couldn't. It was so fucking. It was too much for me to handle.
Well, especially because like when he walked into the
Chris
store, Randall was just like, "Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, we're closed." He's like, "Wait, Elias?" uh,
each
and then
time.
just dude, like I lost my shit at the funeral when Elias says like a cane, like a cape, and like one gauntlet. I'm just like, why does he have a gauntlet?
So fucking weird.
Uh,
And I love that, he has a whole Christian group and they all, at least with blockchain, they follow him for some reason, just like blindly. So he turns Satanist, and I guess at least blockchain also turns Satanist. So they're all just
yeah,
like fucking looking like the crow or whatever the fuck, like each time.
that was
It's
so
insane.
funny.
God, it's so ridiculous. But they still have the
Uh,
fucking Jesus kites for the NFTs
yeah, and
and
then it's like
shit.
the whole movie they're talking about these like kite NFTs that they're going to be selling because they're like, yeah, no, Randall, people love kites. These will sell. No, don't worry about it. And they
It's
did.
like
They made like $1 million.
they got fucking rich. It was insane that they
Uh,
actually got rich. I wish I did that. I
if
wish I
only it was
invested in
that easy.
I wish I
Yeah,
invested in GameStop when that whole shit happened before, like when it was the smart time to do it. I've been like, I wish I made 10 grand. That would have been great. Uh anyway though, the biggest thing about Clerks 3 was definitely the thing that kind of blew our minds, I would say, which was the full like wraparound with this movie. And
yeah,
it's like, Randall, heart attack, wants to make a movie, and it pretty much is retreading all their stuff from Clerks 1. And the funniest shit is, they try to have all the auditioners, and it's great seeing all these cameos and stuff, including I think Ben Affleck was like probably one of the best
oh yeah,
ones. And eventually they just go, you know what, we're just gonna have everyone play themselves, including all the people that were in the original movie. And I'm pretty sure they brought all of the cast back, even the people that were like, oh, Dante, we went to high school with you and you're still here. That's crazy. Well, I'm doing this and she's doing that, blah, blah. Like they're still there. They're
yeah.
now
They
making
brought
this
back
movie.
the girlfriend from the first movie.
Her too, yeah. which was fucking insane to see her
Dude, I
back.
love yeah, Randall sends her a copy of the script and she comes back and she's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you? Why am I in your movie? Why are you talking about me sucking off 737 dudes?"
Veronica, yeah, played by Marilyn
Uh,
Gigliotti. I can't Italian. Um, yeah, and the fact that like I think it was crazy though. She knew too, and then she's like, I have a family, and she's like, oh fuck, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to like Dante, because she knows exactly what happened to him.
yeah, that was so sad. Like clearly everyone around Dante knows what happens and it's just like taboo to talk about it because it's too painful.
Yeah,
And I love he like goes to talk to her in her car and he's just like, "Don't worry about it. It was an honest mistake. You obviously you didn't mean all that." And she's like, "Thank you. You want to fuck?" He's just like, "Okay."
I love that they're all watching from
Yeah.
the outside. They're just like, yeah, it was so fucking funny. Oh my god. And you know, they bring in Harley, who's supposed to be Jay's daughter. Uh
Yeah.
and she is basically just Jay's daughter in it, which is actually pretty funny. And then she ends up working at the quick stop at the end. I thought that was fucking hilarious. But the whole thing of it going then like, oh, we're recreating the scenes, and then you go, so in this form of canon, Clerks 3 is the filming of Clerks, the original Clerks.
Oh, that's another thing I really liked. When Randall was showing the movie to Dante, it was the footage from Clerks 1.
Yes, because otherwise it would have been really weird seeing all the fucking people redoing it, but they're all just fucking
Yeah.
old compared to
It
like
was
when
like
they're
a
doing it when they're all
massive
young.
nostalgia trip for me.
Yeah. It was well done. And they did some stuff from Clerks 2 as well, but you're not really feeling that they just did Clerks 1 and 2. You're really more or less looking at the original. And it feels strange too, because it's kind of like, I mean, it's the end of the trilogy, and it's a trilogy you were never sure you were going to get, because you had Clerks, and then you had all those other movies that more or less incorporated Jane and Silent Bob into them for either a moment or a little bit or whatever. And then you get Clerks 2, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe we got this. Like, you didn't think that was going to happen, but you're fucking happy about it, and you think that's it. And then he goes, Clerks 3 and Mallrats 2, and you're like, oh my god. And it takes like 10 fucking years for it to happen, because there's so much shit going in and
Yeah, he
out.
wasn't even sure if Clerks 3 would even happen because it was like so many hurdles to get through.
And it was crazy because it went from like Clerks 3 to Clerks 3, the screenplay, it's going to be a play, to then Clerks 3, the movie again. It was really weird. And then Mallrats was like, Mallrats, the movie, Mallrats, the fucking HBO Max series, or it was some premium shit series, and then movie again. And, that one's not here still, and may not for a while. But that whole thing of like, these are still going to come. And especially because he had left that area, that world. Like, we got all of a sudden instead Red State and all these other movies, the fucking Tusk shit,
Yeah, he
and he
tried
was
to
filming
do some
DC
different
stuff.
shit.
Yeah. So coming back to it, it feels so strange. And we've gotten 2 movies now, Jay and Silent Bob and this movie. And I think, like, looking at all 3 of these movies, for all the 3 Clerks movies, I'm gonna say it's still the lowest of the totem pole for me. But
Really?
ironically enough, it's not it's not a bad thing, but ironically enough, like, when you rank all of these specific, not like the entire Kevin Smith filmography, I'm talking the Kevin Smith View Askew universe, which is Clerks, Mallrats, Dogma, Chasing Amy, Jan and Silent Bob Strike Back, Clerks 2, the fucking reboot movie, and now Clerks 3. Like, Clerks 3 is probably still, like, I hate to say it, but one of the lowest ones. It's not because it's not good. It's just because all these other ones are still so iconic and memorable for me.
Hmm.
Specifically, Clerks 1 and Mallrats are still my top 2 movies. Like, those I don't think can ever be dethroned because of their just value they have, the originality. And also because I think it's not even like, you could say it's nostalgia, maybe, I'm not too sure, but it's the fact that it's those eras of time when you're filming like that. There's a lot less hurdles of what there is today, but also it's a different world than it is today too.
Hmm.
Like, you're in a mall where it's the biggest place to be. That's not like that anymore. And Clerks, like, it's just these two guys doing shit in corner store, and it's like, even with corner stores nowadays, like, that doesn't exist. It's like one dude that's kind of there and he's sad, and then he leaves, and another guy comes in and he's sad and he starts working there too, or something. Like, these kinds of things don't really have that much feel the way they used to, of their usefulness in this era of Amazon and all this other shit. It's completely different, and I think that's why those films are so valuable to me. Which you could say it's nostalgia, or just, like I said, I think it's just like that feeling of a different world. Uh, and then, you know, Chasing Amy, I think, is still the bottom of the total poll. So Clerks 3 is still upper than that. I think I like it more than Dogma now. I would say it's just under the two Clerks movies and Mallrats. So otherwise, like, it's above Chasing Amy and Dogma, which Dogma I really liked, but I think I do like this more. Dogma is really fucking entertaining, but this is a lot more, I guess, personal feeling when you
Yeah.
go through it. And I also think, like, it's a weird thing where I feel like I've left Kevin Smith's fandom world, if that makes sense. Like, his podcast is everything and everything else. And I almost came back in it when he did the Jane and Silent Bob movie, and I went to the Q&A for that and everything else too. And that was in, I think, Oakland when I watched it. And I was like, do I want to get back into his stuff? And I was like, no. And I just didn't. And I never got back to it. And then coming back again now, I'm like, maybe I do. I'm not too sure. Like, do I want to go back and listen to more of his podcast? Do I want to, like, check out more of his other stuff? It does make me want to go and buy the Jane and Silent Bob movie, and I will buy this, but, like, I'll still be picky. Like, I'm not going to do his non-view askew stuff too much. I might eventually watch Tusk and Yoga Hosers, but I'll tell you
Yeah.
why I'd
I still
watch
think Tusk
those.
is worth a watch. I thought it was an interesting movie.
Well, I guess getting into the finish off here, but um because did you have anything else on the movie, really?
I just thought it was interesting that it's like so low on your like ranking of Kevin Smith's movies, because like literally maybe it's just because of recency bias or what, but like I left that theater thinking that that might be Kevin Smith's best film for me.
I think
But like you're right that like maybe I need to go back and watch Mallrats again, because it's been a while since I watched it, and I do really like that movie, and I do also have like a big like spot in my heart for Dogma, just because I find it such an interesting movie.
yeah.
But just like for me, Clerks 3, like even more than Clerks, especially Clerks 2, and like I like it feels like a more mature movie, because he's not like, there's definitely some like, you know, toilet humor and shit in this movie, and just like constant jokes, well, not constant, but like a bunch of jokes about like Jay and Silent Bob just like smoking weed all the time to the point where they don't even realize how their store works.
Or
But
for
like
for the fun of it, they still, even though they have a full fucking store,
yeah,
it's
they
not
still
even a
just like
front.
sell weed outside.
Yeah, outside of the fucking place, acting like it's an illegal deal.
Yeah, but like it feels like a more mature experience, because he's literally a more mature person at this point, and just like the whole meta aspect of it, and just like maybe it wouldn't play so well for me if I didn't know all of like Kevin's personal life stuff. Like this is literally his own experiences he's putting into this movie, and like even the heart attack thing was like literally he described that's exactly how he got like his heart attack like treated. In one of his podcasts he mentioned just like, yeah, I almost died because I didn't want to show anyone my dick. And it's just like, so it's
Yeah.
so like seeing how it's like it's a movie about Kevin's own life, but it also makes sense for the characters in so many ways that
Yeah.
just like, and it's just so like it's so hard to have a movie successfully be like, I'm laughing my ass off and I'm about to fucking cry. Like it is very hard to do that for me recently. I don't know why. Just like a lot of things just don't hit the way that the directors and the writers and like the producers hope that it does. But this movie like actually got me. So and again, maybe that's a lot of recency bias happening, but it's like super high on my list for Kevin Smith movies personally.
No, I definitely get it. I think also there was like a couple of moments where I didn't feel like I felt cracks or flaws in the movie. One of which I can't remember it fully now, but I just remember itching at me in the first portion of Q&A, because it was still in me during the whole credits too. And I was just thinking, I was like, why am I still thinking about this one thing? And it was something about Randall, the way they wrote him, where he felt completely, it might have just been when he was completely oblivious to Dante,
Yeah.
or it was something else regarding it, but I just felt like it was too easy the way that happened compared to like, I can't remember. That's why I'm trying to remember correctly, like what the specific instance was.
Was it when Dante was like being wheeled into the hospital and Randall was like, "Oh shit, I didn't know that he got money from his ex-wife or
I
ex-fiance."
think it was just during the whole time before that when Randall was shooting, and it's just kind of like the way that everything was going down. It felt like somewhat of retreads from the
Mm,
previous two movies, where it's like the lesson wasn't really learned as well, but also like
that makes sense.
he was very slow to understand things to the point where it didn't feel as realistic or like in character potentially, but also I could be completely wrong, and I could uh like easily a 180 it if I
Yeah.
watched it again. But I did just feel like there was certain points like that where I was like, this is definitely not perfect. I think it's really great. I don't think it's a perfect movie at all.
Yeah, I
I
still
think it
wouldn't say it's
still has its
perfect,
flaws.
but I definitely enjoyed it a bunch.
Yeah.
But definitely
Um,
not I wouldn't say perfect though.
yeah. Whereas I think Clerks 2 felt more like this is a theatrical film that I am enjoying. Where Clerks 3 felt like we finally were able to quick get it through the door, get it through the fucking
No.
door. I think that's why there's like such a difference in it, for the fact that Clerks 2 even has like a fucking musical scene. So
Yeah. Huh.
like it's just insane. There's a dude that fucks a donkey. Jason Mewes takes his fucking pants off and he's like, "That's my surprise." And he's like, "Would you fuck me?" And you're like, "Oh my god." Like I ironically, I'm like, yes, I could cry in Clerks 3, and it is very big, but also this movie is Jason Mewes' dick, and the dude fucks a donkey. This is pretty crazy. Like, there are probably horrible reasons, but I think there is just more with Clerks. I think it's everyone's just younger, and that feeling of them being younger and stuff. There's more going on in that sense. But anyway,
I
yeah.
did enjoy in Clerks too when Randall made that one dude vomit because he made him so mad about Lord of the
Oh,
Rings.
he's basically saying Frodo and Sam are gonna fuck, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
fuck you." Yeah. Um. Otherwise, I think ended off with Clerks 3. What was funny during the Q&A was Kevin Smith just pretty much tells us the next 5 movies he's working on.
Yeah, I was like,
And
wait, what? I thought you were done.
so Twilight of the Mallrats sequel is what he wants to do, and he's still trying to figure out like get the rights to it, because the rights to it is like really weird. But uh while he's trying to get it out there, what was the next one he said besides that? Was it was either Moose Jaws, or
Yeah, no,
was it
Moose Jaws was definitely one of the more recent one or sooner ones.
the Jay and Silent Bob one was the 5th and final one.
Yeah, because he literally was like, we need to wait for Jay's
And
kid
then
to
Tusk
grow
2,
up.
I think Tusk 2 is also like 4th.
Yeah, Tusks.
Yeah, Tusks. But that's later on too, I think. That was still like, I think it's Moose Jaws and what was it, 8 something? The movie hopping movie.
Oh,
So yeah, Kevin Smith said like there's Moose Jaws, which is supposed to be the third movie of like, I guess like it happens after Yo-Go Hosers with where it's just Jaws, but it's with a moose. That's literally it.
yeah.
And the other being a movie that is completely original, and it's about guys movie hopping in a theater, and it's more or less, think of it like Mallrats is Mallrats. This is the movie version of it. Instead of a mall, it's a movie theater.
It does
And
sound kind of familiar. Maybe that's.
yeah, and that one
I just don't remember if he had a name for it.
I think out of all 5 movies, this was, besides Mallrats, because Mallrats has the nostalgic feel of being Mallrats, that one excited me the most, because I'm like, oh shit, no one ever talks about that stuff, and I fucking movie hopped all the time when I was younger. Like pretty much like,
I did it like once.
dude, you know who got me into movie hopping?
Oh,
My mom.
oh, for real?
Yeah, we used to do it all the time. She'd be like, well, we're just gonna do these 2 movies. I remember watching Spider-Man. Fucking tell me about Spider-Man. And after she goes, all right, we're gonna go watch the Jennifer Lopez movie Enough. And I was like, I don't want to watch Jennifer Lopez, Mom. What the fuck? You suck. And then we go to watch it, and I'm like, that movie was so good. And I'm like, I loved watching Jennifer Lopez fight off her abusive husband and retain the freedom of her and her daughter from this awful man throughout this entire film, and then eventually kill him. And I'm like, this movie's great. Honestly, guys, Enough is amazing. We'll go watch Enough. If you've never seen Enough, that is such a fucking good movie starring Jennifer Lopez. And then did it all throughout high school with our we went to with Daniel that we both went to school with. It was great, but yeah, movie hopping. So yeah, Moose Jaws, movie hopping movie, Twilight of the Mallrats, and then Tusks, which is just Tusk 2, and it's supposed to be like Aliens, pretty
Yeah, I
much.
love he literally was like, yeah, I
And he
just
was
want to
high
do
when he
aliens too.
contacted everyone, yeah. And then the final one is Jane and Silent Bob as old people, and this would be in another 10 years from now or something, or 20, I forget, 10 or 20 years.
Yeah, he literally was like, he wants to continue with the joke that like Kevin's daughter is playing Jay's daughter starting in Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And
And
so they have to wait for Jay's
Jason
actual
Mewes
daughter
to be the
to grow
granddaughter.
up, yeah, to be old enough to be his granddaughter.
And it's Grandpa, Jay, and Bob go to fucking Hollywood for another shit thing again.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm kind of Kevin Smith is like reselling me on the Kevin Smith brand, and I appreciated it. So I'm like, okay, fine. I'm gonna give your podcast a chance, and like probably at a certain point, maybe like for sure after October, just because there's so much shit to watch and there's so much stuff I still haven't watched. I'm like, I really do want to go back and rewatch all the old View Askew stuff. I just have to find time because I still have a bunch of fucking screener copies and all this other shit I haven't watched at all. I'm just like, fuck.
Yeah. I think one
Yeah.
of the things I've been appreciating about Kevin Smith for like at least the last 5 or so years is like he seems to at this point just want to do movies that he thinks are fun to do and not shit that's necessarily gonna make money.
Yeah.
Is like literally Moose Jaws is like one of the most basic ideas for a movie, but it's so funny to me. It's just the idea of it's essentially like the Canadian version of Jaws, where it's like, well, they don't have sharks up in Canada, but they do have moose, and moose are fucking huge, and they can absolutely kill a man.
Exactly.
And just, yeah, like Yoga Hosers is like no one really gave a shit about that except for Kevin, but he did it anyway. And like Tusk, that was literally like a joke he did in like a podcast that
I mean,
the
that's yeah.
audience, like the audience just got so into it that he was like, you know what, fine, I'll put it up on Twitter as a poll, and if enough people want me to do it, I'll see if I could do it. And it fucking took off, and he did it. And you're like, it's got its fans, and then also people like you that are like, I don't know.
I saw what it looked like, and I turned on the movie and I just kind of skimmed through it, and I was like, nope,
No,
nope.
it definitely has some like human centipede vibes,
Yeah, I don't like that shit.
but it's slightly more comedic because it's like a walrus instead of just sewing people's like faces to other people's asses.
Yeah. You never go ask them.
Uh, but yeah, so like that's why like I may not have watched all of Kevin's movies recently, but I at least am just like at least he's doing shit that he thinks is
Yeah.
fun and not just like the studio told me I gotta do it.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though some of them are just look awful. Absolutely
Yeah.
awful.
I say that, but also like there was one point in the Q&A where he mentioned that like, yeah, some studio called me, was like, you got any more Kevin Smith or any more Jay and Silent Bob stuff? He's like, I only have Jay and Silent Bob stuff.
So fucking funny.
uh,
Okay. I think we've hit our limit with Clerks 3, and I really want to see how much I can knock out here. So
okay.
I'm going to start off with Proud Family, James. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So
Oh yeah.
I watched the original series again from way back when, along with the movie and the reboot, or not reboot, but like pretty much like the revival of it and
Yeah, the
stuff.
new series on Disney Plus.
Yeah. And I gotta say, watching the original real fast, one of the better, smarter series of its time. It feels like it's authentic compared to like whites white shows, I guess you could say.
It's unfortunate that I missed it because I didn't have like Cartoon Network or anything at the time.
Yeah,
What,
it was
what was
Disney.
it on?
It was Disney.
Oh, yeah, I didn't have cable, so
So
I didn't have that either.
those that have never seen Proud Family, it's a black family, and it's very much like an urban setting. Uh, so much so you have like the more literal ashy black girls who are like the bullies that rob people and stuff, the Gross sisters. And it's funny because in this cartoon, like when they're ashy, they're blue. They draw them as blue people, and you still have like black people, brown people, white people, Asians and stuff. And compared to, you see white creators do black people, and it's very much just kind of like sometimes you're like, I don't think you have the right depiction, sir. Like this is kind of weird, or they made them kind of a little too. They just went into some weird stereotype or some shit. But this is full on like black creators, and so it feels real, especially growing up in San Francisco, growing up like in the Bay Area, and just going around the city. Like it feels a lot more real watching this show, and watching it now versus when I was 10 watching it, it matched a lot more of like what was going on in high school, as well as because for you and me, we grew up in a very sheltered kind of K through 8 school. It
Yeah.
was very diverse, very, very diverse. And we're very used to things like that's kind of how we're raised. We're like, oh, everyone's like this. And then you
Yeah.
leave this school and you're like, I was wrong. And like I go to Wash, and my own high school, it was pretty much like the majority of students were Asian. And then
Same
like
for I went to Lowell, which is like that's what they're known for.
it was pretty much majority were vastly Asian. And then there was the second biggest were pretty much like Latino and black. And then the only white kids were either Russian or skateboarders. Like straight up, the ethnicity was skateboarding. I'm not even joking. And then because a lot of the white kids were all at private schools. They were all like
mm,
SI, and all this other stuff. And it was interesting just being in a new setting like that. And I was like, oh shit, this is so much different. But like I acclimated and adapted very quickly and felt right at home. And watching this cartoon about this show, like I mean this cartoon basically, it's just I was like, oh my god, this feels so fucking real. Like I'm starting to it makes sense. I'm like, oh, this actually feels not stereotypical and stupid like other shows have depicted before in the past, especially like much older shows that are in the 90s, but like way before that. And the amount of adult content that's in this show too for a kids show, just like other adult shows, I mean, other kids shows, is very, very present. And it's stuff I never noticed as a kid. And I'm watching it now and I'm like, holy shit, they got away with these.
yeah, no, that's the mark of a good, well-written like kids show is if like they can put in enough jokes that like the parents will absolutely get that are written in such a way that the kids will never understand until they watch it years later and they're
Yeah,
like, what?
that's the thing. I hate it when people are like, how'd they get away with this? It's like, dude, this is perfect for the whole family. Then
Yeah.
everyone gets to enjoy it. The kids enjoy it for the very simplistic aspects of being a cartoon. The adults enjoy it for the much more complicated aspects the kids will never understand. It's great because all these things will always go over their heads, but the adults will get it, and it's fantastic. It's funny, and it's very much appreciated.
Yeah.
One character is still always amazing in this show, and it's Poppy, and he's this across the street from the Proud family is the Bolivardes household, and it's a Mexican family, and their grandfather is named Poppy, and he's straight up just a dude who has this fucking laugh that it's I can't do it with. It's like almost it's like a Caesar Romero laugh, but
Mm.
it's like Mexican Caesar Romero. I don't know how to describe it.
All right.
It's so fucking good, and it's the it's such a good laugh. Like you'll
Wait, like
just hear it.
Caesar Romero Joker laugh?
Yes,
Oh, weird. Okay.
yeah. Uh, j-
Huh.
just look up Proud Family Poppy laugh, James, straight up, and you'll find it. And it would make me laugh as a kid, and it still made me laugh as an adult. He just does it, and I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, please do it, please do it. Oh my god, he did it! It's great. Uh, and then like they had people like Mariah Carey on. They had Al Roker, the fucking weatherman, on. Which Al Roker in this has powers. He's like a fucking genie almost. He like grants wishes and stuff to Penny and everything. But the show itself is so fucking good. And I think Disney back then probably didn't even realize what they had, like how good this show was. Uh, and then the movie has peanut people in it because there's like this dude who descends from like George Washington Carver, So he's like weird little peanut head people and shit and clones, and it's a fun movie. And there's a kid named 15 Cent who's a rapper because he's not 50 Cent, but he's
No.
15 Cent. It's actually pretty good. Uh, and I thought it was hilarious watching the movie again because on my football team, there was some jokes people would make on the team that'd be like, "Yo, dude, you look like one of them peanut heads from the Proud Family movie," and I'm like, "I can't believe he said that." And then you look back now, and I'm like, "Dude, I can't believe he said that." It was so fucking funny. But that movie is where the Proud Dad meme comes in, where it's Oscar Proud running with like a chef outfit on, but he's like sprinting. I don't know if you've ever seen it. Just look up Proud Dad running, and you'll also see. So look up Poppy Laugh and look up Proud Dad Run. And those are two very important things. But I forgot that comes off in it. And the way the kid, like this whole thing of like this dude with a peanut people armory is trying to conquer the world. And the way they stop him, more or less, is a dance battle, which is the funniest shit. And it's great. But I was only trying to briefly do that stuff. But the main thing was the new show that they came back with, Louder and Prouder. And it's interesting, like the way they pulled off, because one of the characters' name is Sticky, and he's not in this one because Sticky is voiced by Orlando Brown. And if you didn't know, Orlando Brown like went through some stuff and no longer really does acting or anything. He was Sticky in the show. He was also Eddie in That's So Raven. If anyone's ever watched that, he was basically the main lead male character in it. And the actor himself went through shit, isn't there anymore. So instead of recasting Sticky, they bring in like two siblings that are male and female, and they're very interesting. And the animation, it's changed, and it's no longer like hand drawn. It's all computer animated now, but they do it in a very well done way where it doesn't feel too different. Like you can feel it. It's still like you'll know. It's not like it's gonna change it where you're like very disguised and you're like, oh, it looks exactly the same. It's like, no, this looks different. I can fucking tell very easily. But they do a good enough job considering, like, with this animation, it's probably 10 times cheaper. And so the quality is not going to be as good, but they still do a good job with it. I think with this animation too, everything goes slower. Like it's not as naturally movement for the characters, but they still are able to do stuff. The one thing I will say, the weakest part of the show is Poppy in this one now, because in
Yeah.
this new one, it's not the fucking insane laugh isn't there anymore. It's just some bullshit like half laugh. So they ruined Poppy in that aspect. So I'm like, fuck, y'all fuck Poppy up. But whatever, like his laugh sucks now. It's trash, complete trash compared to the old one. So that comedic corner is now gone. The other weird thing is like there's a monkey in both. Like Oscar Proud has a monkey assistant because he makes these snacks. He's like, I make Proud snacks. And his like monkey is like his test monkey. He like straight up just like eats the snacks and tests them out and shit. And his name is Mr. Chips. And in the original cartoon, he's like a full fucking like emotionally charged monkey that has all these fucking faces, array of emotions and stuff. And in the new one, they make him just look like an emotionless monkey. They kind of like Lion King him, where like you see the new CGI Lion King, and there's no emotion on the animal's face.
Oh.
It's like that for this new
Weird.
Mr. Chips, and I'm like, fuck, this sucks. Otherwise, I think his brother Bobby also has a lesser look now too. He kind of just looks whatever. But they modernized the show a lot more, where I'll say this, like there was a character in the original show named Michael, and you could kind of tell, like you could tell he was gay, but they never really do that in the show. They're very much like, oh, you're just very feminine and stuff. And he like does the choreography for the girls when they dance. He does the outfits for them and everything. He like does all this shit and whatnot, but he's also schooling people in basketball at the same time. And there was an episode I remember they call him a sissy, and everyone makes it a big deal. And you're like, dude, they just called him a sissy because you're like, they wanted to put in another word, but they can't put that word in, so we're not going to see that word. It starts with an F, but they're not going to call him that in this. And so in this modern version, Michael is very out and very, very feminine. Like they make him very modern, like it would be like a modern day, I guess, like gay guy today. That's like, I guess, in the more feminine side, where they do a lot more feminine style dressing and everything else, but they do it just naturally, and it works really well. And it's also funny seeing them like, it's weird seeing them now because I think the time jump is only like 2 to 4 years, but they look a lot older than the time jump allows them for. So it's kind of funny how much older they look. And then the new characters are, so they introduced two new siblings. One is Maya, and she's a very much like activist type character who isn't the friendliest of people. And she's not like, she's okay. But her brother, KG, straight up is a meme. He's like a meme kid. He's a very he replaces Sticky as like the techno savvy person who does all the cool gizmos and gadgets. He has like a flying drone and everything else, but he does the thing, James. He says the word sheesh. Like he does sheesh. Like he always says it, and you've heard this a lot of times, right? By now, I'm assuming like you've heard people be like sheesh, like that
Yeah.
meme. So I'm like, it's sometimes funny, but it's whatever. And I hear him the first time he says it in the show, and I'm just like, fuck, they're doing that gimmick. And I'm kind of annoyed with it. And then every time I hear him say it in the rest of the show, I'm fucking dying. And I'm like, oh, actually, this is really funny. I didn't think they'd get me, but they got me. And they say it in just the right tone and always at the right moments. So I like that these people were able to, like, the writing team were able to still pull off this show and make it like more modern, but still make it work well like the old show. I don't think it's as good as the old show, but I think it stands up on its own, where it's not on a negative aspect, that it's not bad or okay, it's still good, which I'm happy about. And like other shows have failed to do comebacks, but this one didn't. And I think it's season 2 comes out this January, and I'm looking forward to it. Like, this is a good show, and I'm glad they were able to bring it back like this for sure. But that was Proud Family. Yeah. Did you have anything? Otherwise, I can do another.
Um, nah, you could do another. Like all the like we talked about it earlier in the show or before the show that like all the stuff that I've been playing and watching recently are mostly either just like rewatches of things or just like ongoing shows that haven't like finished their seasons yet. So I
Ooh.
could skip and just let you do another one.
Okay, cool. I will say, like, these have been taking forever to do because, like, I'll put it this way, like, I've been wanting to talk about this forever now. I made the Proud Family stuff note. This is June 28th.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The other one that's also from that month, Pirates of the Caribbean. So I've been wanting to talk about this for a while. So I
Oh
watched all
yeah.
5 movies.
I hated this movie.
I watched all 5, and I just want to say really fast, like, I've seen the first 3 multiple times. I own them, everything else. The other 2, 4 and 5, I never saw.
Yeah, the
So it was
first
my
3 are
first time
fine.
watching them.
Or
And
the first one's great. Second 2 is amazing. Third one is pretty good.
I think the first one is still the best one to me, but I'll put it this way, like, I looked at my notes. So Curse of the Black Pearl still holds up, and among the Disney live action films of modern day shines incredibly brighter. I would say this is probably the best live action Disney movie, hands down.
Yeah.
Um, the music matching the actions in this film are amazing. If you actually watch the action, everything happening in this film with the movie and the music, it is stupidly good, like well choreographed together to the point, like, let's say Elizabeth Swann is on the ship for the first time, and everyone, like, all this, she sees everyone as skeletons, and they're all like scrubbing the deck and shit, doing all this stuff, and it's like like all the Hans Zimmer shit. Watch that scene and see how well together it goes. It's kind of like watching the older
Oh yeah,
Disney
no, they're
movies.
scrubbing the deck like to the music.
It's so fucking good how good this thing. It's like, it's a high quality film, and looking at this, I'm just like, dude, these movies are better than the Marvel movies. These movies are better than the Disney live action adaptations. I don't think there's one Marvel movie that's even close to the Black Pearl, Curse of the Black Pearl. I honestly don't. It's that, I think it's that
Okay.
much fucking better, James. I'm not even joking, because those movies are just kind of like, and then you're like done. You're like, all right. This one's like, I remember Curse of the fucking Black Pearl. and I only need to know that one movie. I don't need anything else. I think the closest thing to it isn't even Disney. It's like fucking Iron Man. That was Paramount. So like the only Disney era one that maybe comes close is Winter Soldier, maybe,
Mm.
and maybe the first Guardians movie. Actually, no, not even close. Actually, just Winter Soldier. I'm just Winter Soldier. That's it. Then Dead Man's Chest and World's End. I just have those together. It's a good formation of movies that have a start and end. May not be as good as Black Pearl, but are still in a strong tier of quality and entertainment. I still think this trilogy itself is probably still better than everything else out there that Disney put out that's live
I
action.
mean, Davy Jones is just such an interesting villain, and like, dude, the CG they do to like make his character and all the other like,
That's what I
I
mean.
guess, captains of
Everything in
the
these
Flying
movies
Dutchman.
look better than anything we've
Yeah,
seen
it
now.
still holds up.
It's better than everything now, at least from
Also,
Disney.
it's just like really creative, like character design for like
Yes.
all the different like crewmen, I guess, of the Flying Dutchman. Like, not only is the Flying Dutchman just like an interesting like supernatural ship, but like everyone on that ship is like turning into different like
Sea
sea
creatures, nautical
creatures.
type of,
Like,
yeah.
there's like the hammerhead shark dude. There's the dude who's got like the shell head that apparently can like totally go
Oh yeah, it's like
come off.
it's fucking ridiculous. It shows it really shows the investment you have in the trilogy by the end of it. Like you really do feel invested in this set of movies. And the consistent backstabbing as pirate life entails throughout the franchise is fantastic, where everyone backstabs each other constantly. And it's so fucking good. And also, this movie, like, it's more violent, there's more blood, there's more death than anything else we've ever seen in any other fucking Disney live action thing, too. Like, I
It's
think
kind of hard to do pirates without like at least someone dying.
exactly, like, I I legitimately think this trilogy is better than anything else they've ever put out. Anything. Even like well, actually, no, their Star Wars stuff is very easy. That stuff sucks anyway, so it's not hard to beat, to be honest. But yeah, no, Pirates of the Caribbean. If people haven't seen this, this is better. I kid you not, this is better than any other live action thing Disney's put out ever. Live action adaptations, Star Wars, Marvel, you name it, all better. Guaranteed. Maybe not for you. You might think it's better, but I don't think you're
Hmm.
right. I think I'm right more. So but the
To each
movies
their own.
no, I'm right. The fourth and fifth movie. So on Stranger Tides, it's
I
fucking
literally don't even remember this movie.
it is the worst one, the weakest of the bunch. Losing key cast makes it feel much lesser with fill-in characters like the priest and the mermaid that have such a fucking boring story. I'm like, what is this?
Dude, I
This
don't even remember why they had the mermaid. Other
the
than to be like the love interest for the dude.
it's all the mermaid's also like the key to getting the Fountain of Youth. It was like she was part of the way to get in or something. I don't remember why, but it was a thing.
Was
The
it like
span
they needed her tears?
I think so.
And she like refused to like cry for them, so they just took her with them.
Yeah,
And wasn't it like she finally cried when like
the
the
priest.
not Will Turner guy like almost died?
Yeah, it's like, aren't you a priest? But I want to fuck the mermaid. And it's like,
Everyone does,
oh,
man.
yo, dude, I'm trying to fuck the mermaid.
And
But
just
like,
like, I love they spent so long carrying her like through the like jungle in that like weird like coffin tank thing with like barely enough water for her. And at some point they just like trip and drop it and break it. And they're like, oh fuck, the mermaid, she's gonna dry out and die now. And then she just like grows legs and it's like, she could have been walking this whole fucking time. What?
yeah, a Nintendo thing goes above and we've made a new portable version that you can take on the go at all times.
The mermaid switch.
Yeah. Just undock and you'll be fucking
No, it's just like, okay, in
you
my
see
head.
undock, you take the legs out of the fucking flippers. There
No,
you go.
okay. In my head, where my brain went was like, you see the scene where like she's like on the ground and her like tail turns to legs, and then you got Mark Wahlberg off to the side. You're like, I think we gotta transform over here.
Oh my god, that's horrible. I never want to hear that again. That's great though.
uh,
Dude, the Spanish were probably the best part of that movie. It was so fucking so it's like you have the three factions. It's Blackbeard, it's
I
Barbosa,
forgot
who's
Blackbeard was in that.
Barbosa's a privateer. So they're like for
Oh yeah,
hire.
Blackbeard had that weird like sword that he could like literally control ships. That was so fucking weird, stupid.
And also,
He had like ship kinesis.
and then also, yeah, because Blackbeard took other ships and put them in bottles, and that's what happened. Like he fucked up
Also that,
Barbossa and
yeah.
took the Black Pearl, so the Black Pearl's stuck in there,
Right. That
which
was
is weird.
why in
You don't
the
know the Black Pearl
fifth
basically for like
one.
2 movies, yeah.
Yeah, that was why in the fifth one, Jack just had like the Black Pearl still in the bottle, and he's like, I don't know how to get it out.
Yeah. And then there's the Spanish who are like, we have to find this fountain of youth, and they find it and they destroy it, and they're like, only God has the
Yeah.
power over immortality or some shit, and then they just leave, and you're like, what? Fucking
No, it definitely
Spanish.
seems like something that the Spanish would do back then.
Yeah. Meanwhile, they're just like running into the Americas, like, give us your gold and we'll give you disease. Blah, 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 blah. And you're like, thanks, fucking Spanish, fucking shit.
You don't
Uh,
don't fuck with the Spanish Empire. They were like not a joke.
bro, they'll cough on you and you're gonna die. These fucking
They had like
sickos.
the most clever ways of torture. Like it's really sick
No one
shit.
expects the Spanish Inquisition.
No.
And then there was a post-credit scene that goes nowhere. It's like Penelope Cruz's character, who's like Blackbeard's daughter, is on an island with a Jack Sparrow voodoo doll, and she doesn't do shit with it. You're just kind of like, okay,
Yeah, that never comes back.
nope. And then the 5th movie, Dead Men Tell No Tales, Javier Bardem as a Spaniard saying Jack Sparrow is highly enjoyable.
Jack
He's like,
Sparrow.
Jack Sparrow. When
Yeah,
you're
I
like,
love
oh my god.
Javier Bardem, but like, what the fuck?
Yeah, he's just like fucking they go from like they're like, we already did nautical pirates and we did skeleton pirates. What's left?
What
Dude,
about
ghost pirates.
ghosts?
Oh fuck, ghost pirates. And
And
then
I love the whole thing. Like the whole reason why the ghosts get unleashed is because like Jack sold the compass
yeah,
that he used for like what his last bottle of rum. And it's just like, yo, wait, so when the captain was serious to never betray the compass, like that was real?
and it's tied to him of all people. It's
Yeah,
just
and
like,
of
oh
all
okay.
things, it's just like the compass is like, oh, you're gonna get rid of me? Well, then I'm gonna like unseal away the ghost dudes that have a vendetta against you specifically
Yeah,
because
they're
you,
stuck in that little spot, but now they can get out pretty much and
yeah,
just sail around and fuck people up. Uh they brought back Will and Elizabeth through their son Henry, and it was a good idea through him and like Karina. It felt like they built up enough to have them like
yeah,
with their predecessors. It felt like there was enough built up that you can do that. Where Karina is Barbossa's daughter and Henry is Will and Elizabeth's daughter, and to the point where they even have Will and Elizabeth in there, and you're like, oh shit. Whether it's briefly, but it's cool to see them back again. You're just like, oh my
yeah.
god,
No, it was
because
super cool that like the movie basically started off with Will's son just
yeah,
like figuring out where the Dutchman's gonna be, and he just like throws himself overboard a ship with like holding on to like a cannonball or something heavy and just like sank until he hit the Dutchman. And he's just like, hey, dad, come home, please.
you got to get the fuck off this ship, or they're gonna make you stay.
Yeah.
It was good. And never go near Jack Sparrow. He literally is the worst potential news ever.
Yeah.
And then an interesting shoehorn twist with it being Karina as Barbossa's daughter. I think it worked enough, but it felt very shoehorned. I had to have her in as like his daughter.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I don't think she needed to be Barbossa's daughter, but it was interesting. I did like the dynamic that like she was all into like science and stuff, and she was basically like people thought she was a
a
witch because
witch. She's a
she's just
witch.
like good at astronomy, and she's like,
Yeah,
no, I can't predict the future. I just can
I
like
just
I
I
just
just
know
know science,
patterns.
guys. It's like that Family Guy skit where it's like the pilgrim school, and it's like, well, she got an A in she got an A. You know what that means, class? She's a witch, and they start throwing rocks at her. Like that was the
Yeah,
same fucking thing. It was just playing off of that era of people's stupidity at the time or unknowingness. It's
yeah.
fear of the unknown bullshit or whatever.
But then at
Uh
the same time, I was just like, why? Oh no, I'm losing it. Shit. Sorry, you can keep
okay.
going. I'll try to fucking figure
Uh
it out.
they definitely can have a 6th one though with the after seeing like the Davy Jones post credit scene that they do where it's like
Oh, now I
I'm
remember.
not
Like
dead and stuff.
so like her being all into science, like the whole time she's like, curses don't exist. That's not a real thing. Magic doesn't exist. And the main character is just like, sure, it doesn't exist. And then when she like finally sees something supernatural, she's just like, holy shit, it's all real. What the fuck?
Yeah, it was
Uh,
pretty good. Um, they can definitely bring back the old cast plus the new ones. And it would probably be like the highest grossing work most of them would be doing for like a decade. Because I don't think any of them have been doing anything
yeah.
as big as these movies in a long time. Especially also now Johnny Depp technically, and now that he can for sure do it, kind of after everything recently.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's one of those things where like I already said that I did not like the last two movies, but I still would probably be interested in the
yeah,
sixth.
yeah. I'm like the fourth one sucked. The fifth one is okay. I'll take a sixth one easily. Especially it's after. I'd rather replace a Marvel movie in the year's calendar and have a Pirates of the Caribbean movie. So that way I have one less Marvel thing I have to watch in that year. I'm dead serious. I would rather do that so easily. Also, because if you think about it, that would then increase the quality of these Marvel things instead of making them every single 5 seconds and losing their mojo very,
It
very
is
quickly.
annoying to me that shit's like literally starting to overlap at this point. Like
People are falling by. I
we're
know
not
people that have fallen behind on these. They're like, I
well,
can't keep up with them.
I've been watching She-Hulk and then like Andor started up. So now I'm watching She-Hulk and Andor. And I know those aren't like both Marvel things, but it's just like it's Disney is just like overlapping
And
everything
then
they're
there's
doing
other
now.
streamers too, and it's difficult. That's why I stopped watching all the current stuff altogether, and I'm just like watching horror stuff and One Piece.
Yeah.
I'll get back to everything, but yeah, like I said, because we're not talking about She-Hulk and all that shit until November for sure. Um, but uh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, because the producer, I think it was Jerry Bruckheimer or someone, said like they're for sure still doing a sixth one. They're still working on it, and then there's also a reboot with Margot Robbie as the main character for a new Pirates of the Caribbean, which will be interesting. But yeah, and I guess that's pretty much all we have time for. I think we're like an hour 40 in now at this
Yeah, we
point.
should probably quit for now.
Yeah. Next week, let's see what I have left. Mayans, Ponyo, and Riverdale are the last three things. So I would like to get those done next week for sure.
All
And
right.
hopefully Injustice and Mortal Kombat actually too. I want all these things done. I think we could do it, James. Hopefully there's less news next week also, but we'll see. But that's been the show. If you want to follow us, you can on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter at Sutro Sidetalk. You can subscribe on whatever platform you're listening or watching. If you can, that'd be great. And also give us a 5-star review if it's Apple Podcast, rate us if it's Spotify, and like as well as subscribe if it's YouTube. You can also follow James on Twitter at InvaderJim124, and you could follow me on Twitter at GoGoComzilla. You could also write into the show at sutrosidetalk@gmail.com if you want to leave us feedback, whether it's comments or a question for us to read on the show. And of course, coming up, like I said, for Side Talk next week, we're going to talk Cyberpunk Edgerunners and then all those shows I listed and stuff. I'm going to try to talk about, like I said, Riverdale season 6, the what was the other thing? Ponyo and Mayans season 4. So I do want to get those out of the way along with Injustice 2 and Mortal Kombat 11. The 2 weeks after that, 1 week will basically be pretty much all horror stuff, most likely. At the very least, Haunting of Bly Manor and whatever else we can throw in there. And then the last week of October, we're gonna have Werewolf by Night. I think that's what it's called. I already forgot the name. But the
Yeah.
werewolf movie, the werewolf show movie,
Yeah,
whatever it
it's
is,
Werewolf by Night.
Werewolf by Night. This I think it's a special. But we'll
Yeah, it's
watch.
like a single thing.
Yeah, we'll talk about that and whatever other horror stuff we got coming up. For Sutro Sidewatch, we're gonna start amping up again. Brandon's been really busy, but he's gonna have a lot more free time now for the rest of this year, I think. So we're gonna hit up our monster movies that we were doing, along with hopefully after that Thunderball, which I'll let you know about, James. And after that, we'll see what else we can get done, because I don't think we're gonna get everything done we wanted to do this year, and we're just gonna have to move some stuff to next year. But we're gonna see how much we can still hit off. Up to it, down to it is coming back potentially not this coming week, but the next week. We're going to talk about Dragon Con. Hopefully, Miles has his mic. If he has his new mic, we're going to record and talk about our experiences with that fucking convention because it's awesome. And the Cut of Steel, we're going to have 3 episodes at least this year before the year's up. Harley Quinn, then Black Adam, and then Gotham Knights. For Harley Quinn and Black Adam, I'm going to be actually looking for potentially another podcaster or YouTuber that does DC stuff and potentially do like a crossover or something. I've still figured that out, but we'll hit up that for that cartoon, the movie, and the game. And I don't think we'll get the full big DC special that I wanted to do, but we'll see if it's going to be this year or not, just because other stuff's been getting in the way and I wanted to get the TikTok stuff done, which I'm still doing. But if we can, it would, at the soonest, it would probably be December. Most likely is when we would get that in, but we'll see what happens. And then I think that's everything. And then, like I said before, follow me on Twitch at GoGoComzilla because I'm going to be doing Extra Life in November. Sorry. You can look up the date. Otherwise, I'll have the date next week probably. I don't have it right now. And then I think it's actually like, I want to say it's like November 9th or something. Let me double check actually. I think it's like November 12th is when it's going to happen. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's like the second week of November this year. But it'll be cool. And hopefully, maybe I can try to stream before that later on this month with some horror games. But we'll see what happens for sure. Otherwise, I think that covers everything. And sorry if I didn't enunciate at certain points. I know I was talking real fast at some points where I got too excited or just was like, blah, blah, blah. Happens, you know. Otherwise, yeah, that's everything. And we'll catch you guys next week. So long.
Thanks for listening.